It's time we dealt with sending data from our application to the server. To do this, after creating the task, we'll create an object, serialize it to a JSON, and send it to the server using the HTTP POST method. The moment we get confirmation of the writing, the newly created element is written to the database. Additionally, during sending, the user will be informed via the progress bar displayed directly over the action bar that a certain task is being executed. Let's start by preparing the place where we'll execute the sending. We return to our Add To Do activity. So far, after clicking the Save button, we created a to-do object and completed its data. Next, we passed it to the activity result mechanism to the activity present below. This time, we'll change our approach a bit. We'll try to send the object we have here to the server. The moment we're notified that the writing succeeded, we write it to the database. It's precisely at this moment that we'll finish the operation of our activity. In case any part of this process fails, we won't close the activity, but inform the user about the error. Given that what we want to execute, sending data to the server, is a lengthy operation, we must prepare the right async task. We pass to-do as the input parameter, that is, the object we want to write. We won't constantly inform about the progress. We'll do so only at the start and the end of the process. That's why we pass a void as the type of the element informing about the progress. The result will be the JSON, which will come from the server with the response. It will be a correct answer with the data of the written element or an error message telling us that something is wrong. That's why we pass a JSON object as the third parameter. Now we want to call the async task and pass our to-do to it. We need a to-do inside our doInBackground method. Let's name it to-do-to-save. It's saved as the 0 element of the array. Now we can take advantage of the fact that we have the post-to-do method in our HTTP utils. This method takes two parameters. The first one is a JSON, which is a text representation of our object. The second one is a token. In the case of a token, the situation is simple. Here, we need the access to our login manager, from which we can extract a token. A question arises. Where do we get the text representation in the form of a JSON for our object from? We can generate a JSON by mapping our object and creating a JSON class, which includes the relevant fields. We assume that our to-do has a to-do JSON string method so that it's more readable. This method doesn't exist yet. That's why we have to create it. We prepare a JSON object inside. As we're creating this object from scratch, we use an argument-less constructor and proceed to complete it. In our JSON object, we want to place the content under the content key. Under the done key, we want to place the value of the done variable. Potentially, we may get a JSON exception here. So we set that our method should throw an exception the moment any attempt to insert data fails. As the third field, we have to pass a user ID. It's all about informing the server about the owner of the object so that the server is able to set the right ACL. All three fields must be filled in to send a complete object so that it's created on the server side. We expect a string as the method output, so we have to use the toString method in order to obtain the text representation of our JSON object. We return to our add-to-do activity. We have to take care of the exception that appears. We store the data returned from the method and then parse it. We need 3 fields to send an object, but until now, we've only set 2 of them. In order to create the third field, we'll need to access the Login Manager. We already have an object which includes all 3 fields. Next, we start the async task. Create a task representation of the object, provide the token, and send the object via post. The post itself is very simple in our case. We use our call HTTP, to which we pass a URL similar to the one we used in case of a query. We access the class. In our case, it's a to-do. In this case, we use the post method. We have to pass a token in order to be able to authorize our query. The final argument is a body, which in our case is a JSON.